Hi, everybody.
Hello there.
I'm Jerry, and this is
Linda.
And as you know, we're the Village Newcomers. We've been here for a little more than 9 months now. So we thought it would be a good time to answer that burning question that we get every day. Is it expensive to live in the villages? So what we've done is we've compiled some of our utility bills and other expenditures that we've had over the last 9 months, and we thought we'd share them with you. I'd like to remind everybody that all of the opinions and everything you're going to hear are strictly just our thoughts and feelings. They're not official in any way. They're not unanimous to people here in the villages, but this is our reaction after living here. And we are not affiliated with the villages. We're not approved by the villages in any way whatsoever.
Right.
And we're not paid, and we don't get endorsements and that sort of thing. So the question is it expensive? It's a matter of opinion. What is expensive to one may not be expensive to another. So what we're going to do is compare it based to where we lived before. We lived in southern Indiana, a great place to live, and we miss it in some ways, but that's what we're going to be comparing it to. So first of all, let's talk about gasoline. We don't need much gasoline down here. We sold 2 cars, a car and a truck, and we only brought 1 car with us. And gas down here right now, and this is September of 2019, $2.25 to $2.35 a gallon. And I think that's about the same in Indiana. So there's no big difference in the price of gasoline. Mm-hmm. We have certain bills here that are new to us because we live in Florida, like the landscaping.
Right.
And we also had that in Indiana.
Yes.
But here it's more important because we live in a restricted community. Back in Indiana, we lived in a subdivision, but very, very few restrictions. So here, homes must be held to a higher standard as far as the maintenance and appearance.
Yeah.
So back in Indiana, we had the best lawn service. And they charged about $75 to $90 a month to cut my grass and weed eat.
Right. And they were great.
They were super. We missed them, and I wish they were down here. But here we have also a good landscaping service that mows, weed eats, blows, and here you edge. You edge along your driveway, you edge along your sidewalk, you edge along the flower beds. It's another step. But here we spend $50 a month. So actually it's not quite half as much here, but almost. We save almost half down here. So we find that to be pretty good. Of course, and our yard here is small. Right. Our yard is dramatically small compared to the 1 acre we had back in southern Indiana. All right, and here there are some other bills that come up. So I'd say you're counting on $50 a month to cut your yard, blow it, edge it, and then another $20 for fertilizing and maybe a prevention for disease and that sort of thing, and another $15, I would say, for insect control. So you're going to spend another $40 a month.
And we do that, though.
Yeah, I do it myself, so it doesn't cost quite that much. But if you hired someone to do it, you'd have a substantial bill, probably another $40, $50 a month to fertilize, insect treatments, and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So those are a couple things. Now, down here, we have had to hunt out a new barber. I'm due for another one right now. She had to find people to do hair. Back in Indiana, we had places that we liked very much at prices that we liked very much. So why don't you talk about that?
Yes, I had not a personal, but a lady that did my hair in her home, and she was great. I loved her. One-on-one, I always knew my day to go every 8 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, and she was great, and her prices were much lower. I was spending probably $50 every 6 to 8 weeks, and here it's near $100, so that's kind of an ouchie for us.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if I look that much better, do I?
No, you look great. I mean, you get compliments all the time. She looks fine. Same thing for the men's haircuts. A little bit more expensive down here. And, you know, you're starting from scratch. You got to find people you like and whatnot. For us guys, it's not so important. For the ladies, I'm sure it's a source of stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
Another thing that we have to deal with is Gizmo. We didn't prop him up today. He's running around right here under our feet.
Yes. Always under our feet.
Fantastic dog. Best dog we've ever had. Very low maintenance. But here you have to find a couple of things. You have to find a vet, and you have to find someone to watch him when you need to go places where he can't go. Also, we crate him in the house here at times, but we've had to look for someone to board the dog. Back in Indiana, that's sticker shock, by the way, here. It's much more expensive.
Yes.
In Indiana, believe it or not, we had a nice situation where our vet, which we liked, that lived in the area we lived in, would board him for $10 a day. Now here, it's $25 to $28 and more per day to board your dog if you go somewhere. And there are people, and a lot of people, that want to come to your house and stay and let your dog out and feed the dog, and they will charge you money to come and stay in your home and do that. So that's another expense. If you bring a dog to Florida, or heaven forbid why people would bring 2 dogs or 3 dogs to Florida, I don't know. But we've been here over 9 months. We haven't been to the beach yet.
No sand yet.
We haven't, and we haven't been to Disney yet. And we're reluctant to go somewhere for 8, 10, 12 hours or overnight, heaven forbid, because of Gizmo. And we need to find somebody, that would be willing to watch
Well, we
him.
did twice take Gizmo on a plane trip to see our son. And that's an ordeal, too, because you have to have a crate. You have to pay for him to go, and then you have to put him under the seat. And that's just crazy. But, yeah.
He's a ball and chain. What can I say? We do love him, but he's 10 years old.
Jerry's counting how many years does he have? Oh, no. No, Gizzy.
I'm just kidding for all you animal lovers out there. I love animals.
Yes, he does.
As you can probably tell from some of our other videos. All right, let's talk about groceries. Here's our grocery expert.
Oh.
Back in Indiana, we took for granted the JC food store. If you're watching JC guys up there in Indiana, you do a great job. Kroger is a fine store.
Yes.
Again, there's no Kroger down here. There's no JC. Here you have to go to Publix or Winn-Dixie or Aldi's or Walmart.
Yeah.
Or Sam's Club. They have a Sam's Club here too.
Right.
We've gone to them all. Some I don't like at all. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why. Milk.
Oh, dear.
Milk at one of these chains, which is very popular here in Florida, is $4.19 a gallon.
Oh, my gosh.
And you can get in your car and drive across the street to the Walmart and buy it for $1.99. And eggs, for example. Now, she's a great cook, uses a lot of eggs. I like eggs. Our arteries are probably clogged big time, but what about eggs?
Well, eggs at the high price store for a dozen and a half is about $4. And across the street at Walmart, for a dozen and a half, it's 91 cents.
Now, that's a great deal. At the higher price store, Coke Zero was $2.19 for a 2-liter. Across the street, $1.68. And it's even cheaper in some other places. Now, the first store I told you about has a lot of specials where they call it buy one, get one free. Actually, it's not buy one, get one free. It's buy 2, get 1 free.
Yes.
So you're paying $18 for 3 pounds of bacon. That's $6 a pound. You can do that any day of the week at some of the other stores. Those soft drinks, 2 liters. Some people call them pop. Some call them Coke. Some call them soda. Same thing, 2 for 1 on occasion. So a lot of my friends here in the villages wait for those 2 for 1 sales. And I feel like when you get a 2-for-1 sale there, that's when you're getting things for the price they should be all year round anyway. But so groceries are going to be a little more expensive here, but you will have the Walmart to fall back on if you like Walmart. We'll talk about utility bills. Now, wherever you live, you're going to have bills. Maybe you have electric, all electric. Maybe you have LP gas or maybe natural gas. You're going to have water. You're going to have sewage. You're going to have garbage pickup. So we're going to talk about all those things. And I'll even show you an example of a bill for electric and for all the other things that are rolled in to give you an idea what you'll spend if you come here. But first, I guess we'll talk about the electric. I'm going to compare it to where we lived before. Before we were on budget billing, we had electric heat pump backed up by a natural gas furnace. So the electric portion only was on budget billing in Indiana for $244 a month, every month, 12 months a year. And on top of that, we had budget billing for the natural gas, which was about $80 a month. So our budget was $324 a month for electric and gas. Here we are all electric. And this house, she compiled it all for me so I could share it with you. But our electric bill has ranged from a low of $104 in April to $181 in August. So we had several bills of 104, 109, 106. Then when we cranked up the AC during the hottest time of the year, our bill went up to a max of 181, and that's for an all-electric house.
Right.
Okay. So that's the electric. Sewer down here. And you can see, I'm going to show you right now a printout of the bill that we get once a month, and we have it automatically deducted from a checking account that features water base. That's how much you get charged each month regardless. Then the water that you use. Then you have a separate water system here. Everybody in the villages has 2 water systems, or I say everybody that I know of.
Yeah.
And one is for your household water. That's purified or water that's potable.
Yeah.
I always wondered, is it potable or potable?
Drinkable.
I think on Jeopardy they say potables, don't they?
I guess.
Anyway, help me out there, guys. And you will have a bill for the base and the water usage on both types of water. The sprinkler water outside, which is reclaimed water, which is not good to drink, and the water inside. Our water bill, I'm looking at it right here, for this month was $17 for water that we drink, bathe, and use in the house, ice maker, etc. $17 this month. The water for the irrigation was $11 total. Now that's cheaper than we had back home.
Yes, and you put your sprinkler on 2 times a week.
2 or 3. They have guidelines for you that will suggest what you need. Now, again, we have a small yard, so we don't use a whole lot of water. All right, then sewage. Now, we did not have sewer back in Indiana. We had a septic system, so we didn't have a sewer bill at all. Most people do. And I know from asking friends back home that sometimes that sewer bill is up near $100.
Yes.
$60 to $100 where we lived. But here, the sewer bill is a base of $15. That's if you don't use any sewage. You don't produce any. And our bill last month was $18 on top of that, so $33 for sewage. So that's those are the major utilities. Garbage here is $17 a month, $17.90, $18 a month. Very comparable to what it was back in Indiana.
But they come 3 times a week, though, too.
Well, they come at least 3. They come. They do garbage on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Right.
They do yard waste on Wednesday. And when do they do recycling?
That's same on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. Okay, so all that's included in that $17.90 a month.
Yeah.
And one other fee that comes with that bill. This bill is called the Villages Community Development District Bill, and that bill is for your amenity fee, $159. I've seen people complain about that $159. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think that's great.
40 golf courses that are absolutely free.
Yeah.
12 championship courses that we can play at a reduced rate because we live here. 100 swimming pools that we have access to. Then you've got all the rec centers with shuffleboard and bocce and horseshoes.
Yeah.
You can go and use the archery range if you like, or the air rifle range. You can do RC boats and planes. All that for $159. Now, if you were a member of a YMCA like we were back in Indiana, that was about $70 a month.
Right.
So that would leave $89 for all those things. That is an extreme bargain in my opinion.
Yes.
But it is something that you will pay if you live here in the Villages. Taxes. This has been quite the point of contention here in the Villages, especially over the last month. There's been a proposed tax rate increase here where I am, and her.
Yes.
24% increase. That sounds humongous, and it is painful, but they haven't raised the taxes in 12 years. So now they're going to jump it up big time this year. So what does that do for us? The taxes on this house where we live would have been about $2,600 in that neighborhood. Now they're going to be $3,900. Of course, it's all been renegotiated or recalculated since we bought the house. Those earlier taxes were based on what the house cost, and now we've rebought it at an elevated price, so it's going to be more, about $3,900. And on the addition to that, there's a district fee of about $600 that has to be paid. And a lot of people have what's called a bond. Everybody's had one when their house was new. It's calculated over a period of time at I think about 6%. Don't quote me on that. And people pay an average of maybe $150 to $200 a month to repay until that bond is paid off. So that's another fee you're going to have. I would say you could count on somewhere between $125 or $150 a month and $200 a month for your bond, unless you're like us and get lucky and buy a house where it's been paid off.
Right.
Okay.
Which we're very thankful.
Yeah, nice. Another thing to consider if you're moving here as far as expenses go, there's no state income tax. So if you're retired, you're going to save a little bit on that. If you are still working, you could save a bundle. So no state income tax. I'm going to put a still shot up, if I haven't done so already for you, that shows you the Community Development District bill and the Seco Energy bill for 1 month, and you can kind of see how that will come to you each and every month. But
so, Jerry, what do you think? Is it expensive to live in the Villages?
Yes, it's expensive to live in the Villages. It's expensive to live everywhere if you want to live a nice quality of life. But here, I'm going to say it's more expensive because the big thing, that the property tax is more. Now, some people, if you live probably in Connecticut or New York or some of these places with extremely high tax, you're going to think that that's way cheaper down here. But for us in Indiana, it's not quite double, but it's almost double for the property tax. But the electric, the water, the landscaping, it's less or equal to Indiana. So I'm going to say it's a little more expensive down here. But honestly, the quality of life down here is superior. So we're paying, and we're glad to pay that little bit extra for the quality of life that we have here. Thanks for staying with us through this long video. I hope it answered some of your questions and was informative for you. Of course, remember, take it with a grain of salt because we're new here, and some of these veterans like Skip, they could probably give you a much better rundown on the costs here in the Villages. But for us, that's about what we can lay out for you. Please, if you will, hit like and subscribe. We're gaining subscribers every day. We're over 3,200 right now. We'd like to hit 5,000. So if you'll do that for us, we'd appreciate it.
Until next time.
We'll see you when you get here.